Sorry, I'm now like in the parking lot. This over here is greater Burdock, and it's in its second year. This is in the sunflower family, and I'm pulling off a shoot right now. You can see it kind of looks like sunflower leaves. Really similar looking sometimes, especially in its first year, to Foxglove Digitalis, and they grow right next to each other. Burdock leaves stems brown really quickly. They actually smell somewhat similar. Sometimes they have a generic bitter, earthy scent to them, which can be a little confusing. But one of the ways I also tell is that you can actually dig down into where the green plant part meets the root. And if there's scraggly roots, that's Digitalis, it's Foxglove. If it's just a single taproot, or sometimes it's double taproots, you get those little twinsies, then it's Burdock. The leaves are also spade-shaped. Foxglove leaves are more like that. They're more like arrow-shaped. This is a big central stalk, so what I would do is take the leaves off like this. This is also an invasive species, so don't worry too much. What we really have to worry about is getting weird looks at the park, which is inevitable, of course. Yeah, here's a smaller one, and this just snips off like this. There's your stalk, and then you can peel it and cook it. So here is a younger patch of Burdock. I don't know if you can see it in the ground, but I did forget my root digging knife today, so I guess I'll just have to hand dig. These are all first year roots, which means they're going to be really tender. And in this sand, they actually pull right up like that. I'll show another one. And one of the ways you can tell whether it's going to be a good root or not, especially in sand like this, is just to put your fingers down and feel how thick the root is. Sometimes there can be a lot of foliage, depending on the soil, but a very small and stunted root structure. So here's our Burdock, and I can use, oh, not very much of this root. This is actually not a good one to pull. These are fairly small. This one I can use in like a stir fry, but this one actually, since I'm in this nice loose sand, I think I'll just replant it. Maybe we can come dig it up next year. One thing I wanted to show is that when it's in its early rosette form, just growing out of the ground fresh, the leaves look like this. Very, very different from foxglove leaves, which look like this basically, but narrower. It's still the same amount of fuzz, still smells very bitter, which can make them hard to tell apart sometimes, but again, Burdock has a taproot. So this actually is Foxglove Digitalis. I'm gonna try not to touch that so much, because only a very small amount is very, very poisonous. This is where the medicine Digitalis came from. It's used to lower heart rate when people are having surgeries or have specific heart issues, but they're not spade-shaped, they're more diamond-shaped. Both are fuzzy though, so just be careful. These have really even serrations on the edge. The serrations are really consistent. They're all about 1/3 of a centimeter, whereas with the Burdock, it's more jagged and inconsistent. The central stalk can look a little similar. The leaves are darker, but there's variability with both plants. They have little spots on the inside, like little tongues. They look like little snapdragons almost, but they're very, very deadly. All right, so I brought this home. I'm now in my yard. I actually had to go pick entirely new Burdock roots because the other day I left them out after washing and they completely shriveled up. So I had to tell the kids that right after school, we had to go to the river and pull some out of the ground. These are actually really good. They were in sand and they're just super clean. They're perfect. They're like a juicy carrot. And normally I wouldn't even peel these because they came out so clean. There wasn't any soil in the sand. It was in a washout flood zone. So yeah, just trim up the roots. And then you have something like a small carrot. That's what I'm used to using. They grow along a lot of riverbanks, and when it's sandy, you can just pull the roots and enjoy them. Sometimes they're like 2 feet long and still tender. If they are in a clay soil, definitely bring a trowel, if not an entire shovel. I actually have a confession. I ate all those burdock roots I was demoing. I got very hungry and very cranky all at once, and I needed to eat, so they fry up like carrots. Just cook them in butter. The stalks, however, I did manage to save because I made this enormous pickle from them. And this is just in a basic brine solution. It's like 2 parts vinegar. I used rice vinegar, some salt, and sugar to taste. Definitely some garlic and onion. And everything in this jar is just what I found the other day. I've got daylily buds. I've got some false western lily of the valley, which is related to asparagus. Got some Queen Anne's lace stalks. Those are actually really nice peeled in the same way as burdock, but they give off this really like obviously carroty cardamom taste to them. And then the burdock stems are right here. They're just like when you peel a broccoli stalk and it's got that tender core. It tastes a little bit like artichoke. They're really mild. They're also really good cooked. The leaves of burdock, which I didn't save, can actually be boiled in several changes of water and then eaten. They don't need to be cooked too much. It's just enough to leach the bitterness out, and that's all water soluble. In the wintertime, if that's one of the few green leaves you can find, it's actually really good. It's just sauteed in some butter with some onions. One last thing you can do if you have more tough and fibrous root pieces is actually to just chop and dry them. They make a nice tea. It's sometimes used medicinally for increasing blood circulation and is a natural diuretic if that's something you need. So I think that's pretty much every single way I use burdock. It's extremely versatile and has uses all year round. You can always find some way to use it. This is my first video and I'm looking forward to creating more. I chose a plant that was readily available, something that I use all the time, but definitely let me know if there are any other commonly used wild edible plants that you would like me to do a rundown on and feature in an informational video.